Hi guys, Miranda, Izzy, Aaron, and myself have teamed up together to collaborate on upcoming projects surrounding self identity in isolation together. It's no shock that media making has taken a toll due to the influences of the pandemic. Our lives have become secular and segregated, making group work like this somewhat of a stilted process due to us not actually being able to meet one another. Our identity to each one of us, for the most part, is summed up by what we show in this little screen. The piece we plan on making will feature a short film focusing on our experiences throughout COVID with each other in this assignment. Narratively speaking, the short film will showcase our lives interwoven by written letters to one another, exploring and discussing our own self identities, and explaining to each other just who we are both in and out of the pandemic. The questions we will be attempting to explore are like, who are we? Not only in the age of pandemic, but who were we beforehand and how has this taken effect on ourselves? What aspects of our self-identity are we choosing to communicate in this limited amount of time? And why these aspects? How do we effectively evoke themes of mental health, personality, and isolation throughout the soundscape and visuals? What defines connection to each one of us, and how far can we establish without actually meeting that? Would this be any different even without the pandemic? And how does letter as a form of communication translate differently on screen?
As a group, we have touched base on what mental illness looks like from our Week 7 exercises. We researched the fact that, in a way, mental illnesses shape our self identity, which is our chosen theme leading into these two assignments. As a group, although we're strangers, the idea of probably not being able to meet each other in real life is such a surreal feeling, and in the end, we may never know each other's true self identity. In Miranda's readings, writing a letter incorporates more positive impacts and is healthy for the mental health. 89% of the students and 91% of older participants agree that writing into their pen pal had a positive effect on their mental well-being. In my reading, I explored the social media effects that it has on exploring our sense of self-identity. The author comes to the conclusion that the psychological aspects of the individuals are a high need of building their self-persona and avatar, which is different in real life. On top, they are more concerned about what people think of them and will likely engage in a different behavior online. As such, their self-identity is lost and only rely on their online status to represent themselves and adjust their privacy settings to trending topics and the audience. The idea that sometimes the use of online as social media can shape our identity due to the isolation of not talking to people in real life, which we'll be exploring in our assignment. In Zach's reading, he observed the elderly individuals and the loneliness associated with isolation during that age. The author describes how overall social attitudes towards loneliness, along with other age brackets, has resulted in more alcohol abuse and depression, and self-worth becomes meaningless. Also, unable to develop interpersonal relationships. As a result, we have been discussing the relationships we have within ourselves in isolation along with the loneliness. And finally, Izzy explores how those in the music industries struggle with their sense of self, and that the audience speaks to the performers and the audience to find out the pressure that they are in producing their identity into their work. It's different when performing your work to yourself and to the public eye. There's judgment and can sometimes affect you and place you into a lost sense of identity. In the context of the assignment, we explore how we present ourselves to others who are so different, and when we are on our own and self-isolated. We hope to explore many more ideas and topics to help our aid for assignment 4. Next slide.
Through the works we have all made previously this semester, we show a similar affliction to being personal. Though this could be attributed to our current situation, I find that the COVID situation stimulates us to be more intimate with the way we shoot and portray the stories we are sharing. Zach's works, for example, are personal and intimate. Whether truly about him or not, each video conveys the sense that the audience knows him. At times relatable and strong themes all of us can relate to, others dreamlike and opulent. His flowing and visually light works are formed in an understanding of his way of storytelling. I think going forward his work is a good backboard for how we produce the film, at least being able to help us with how we tell our own stories. Aaron and Miranda's works are similar in how they produce a piece that provides a view into their lives, showing a theme of family, which is an essential part of our identity and how we preserve ourselves. This, I think, is going to be helpful with how we produce our own letters to each other. In the theme of self-identity, we all show the way we live and display our lives differently. I was aware that I too was making pieces that worked with nostalgia, and it seems to have naturally moved to how I identify, and the lacings of the works show that.
As a group, we have adapted to working remotely quite well. We have created a Facebook Messenger chat where we have been regularly keeping in touch all together. Not only have we been using Facebook Messenger to keep in touch, but we have also used the Collaborate Ultra group conference room to catch up, and also the Google Docs and Drives to upload all of our work content. Together, we have made the decision that we are each going to be dividing both the shooting and recording work between the four of us. Once we've taken all of our footage, each of us will upload the raw footage to our Google Drive, where we will divide the editing between each member. For our assignment, we are planning on creating a short film that highlights the topic of self-identity. Through these weird times, the shift to online uni has been quite odd, especially when we as students are required to create collaborative work with our peers that we haven't even met. Therefore, our film is going to involve each of us writing a note to one another with a voiceover reading at that note. The words on the note are going to involve a description of our own unique personality, ultimately highlighting the idea of self-identification. This is also going to heighten the underlying ideas of self-isolation and how we as a generation are connecting through the modern forms of communication, such as social media. As it is a video assignment, we are planning to exhibit the final work on YouTube. Throughout the semester, we have used YouTube to upload our weekly exercises and have noticed that it is a very reliable resource to exhibit work due to it being so flexible and readily available.